How we doing? Good to see you guys.
I wanted to ask you about your former teammate, Graham Barton. What can you tell me about him?
Dog. Graham Barton, dog. He's a guy who is going to be in the league for a long time. If you pull up his tape this year, you'll know the type of athlete he is, and if you meet him off the field, you'll be even more impressed. So, Graham Barton, dog.
Riley, you had a chance to meet with the Buccaneers this week?
I met with them at the Senior Bowl. Great staff.
Riley, what's the biggest difference from when from Duke to Notre Dame?
It's a great question. I think the biggest difference was, the game day atmosphere is obviously a little bigger, but as far as on the field and the team culture in the locker room, nothing really changes when you go to a football, more of a football school. Like the mentality in the locker room is still, a win mentality. So as much as there seems to be a lot of change, there really isn't too much, no matter what football program you go to. Even from high school to college, it's all the same amount of dudes just goofing off trying to win games.
Riley, you've had a really successful career for what's one thing necessarily that isn't on the film that you're excited to showcase to some of these NFL scouts, GMs, as well as
Yeah, I think one thing I'm focusing on is really playing fast with my feet. I think if you pull up my tape, my 2-minute tape is really good, and because it gets me playing fast, it gets the ball out of my hands and playing fast with my feet. Another example is just anytime we're down and we need to have a fast drive where I'm getting the ball out of my hands, playing on time, really helps me out a lot. So I think playing in the NFL offense complements that because you're playing some under center and you're taking these longer, quicker drops. So that's part of my game that I'm looking to showcase. Yeah, the Senior Bowl was really cool, right? Because it was I was playing in Mobile, Alabama, which is 40 minutes from me, and playing in North Carolina at Duke and South Bend, right? Those are 15, 16-hour trips. So it's good to finish my college days back in my hometown, and down there the food's incredible, the people are incredible. No better place to be. So it was good to get back down there and kind of finish where I started.
Riley, you're a very dynamic quarterback. You can run, you can throw. What's something that you really, really wish you could have shown more in Notre Dame?
Yeah, nice hoodie. The one thing I wish I could have showcased more is probably the deep ball, extending the ball down the field. I think there were a lot of games this year where my job's to win the football game, and there were games where we didn't have to do that, and that was perfectly fine with me. I'm not an ego guy. I'm not worried about stats or anything like that. My job is to win the football game, and if whatever that may be. So hopefully I'll be able to showcase the deep ball a little more.
Riley, touch on your interactions with the Las Vegas Raiders and thoughts on the organization overall.
Yeah. Obviously, great organization. I think the one thing that stands out to them is just their support, their fan base. I mean, just electric fans. They're always getting after it. I think they're a program who are definitely on the come up and have great potential in the future. So obviously they got a great new owner. So yeah, great organization.
Pete Carroll likes to run the ball. You like to run the ball.
Well, I don't mind throwing it either. So I think that's one thing I want to prove to everybody.
Riley, what's one thing that you learned in high school that you carry with you to this day?
Dang. I think one thing would probably be not to let, never let your circumstances change your standard. Let your standard change your circumstances. That's something Coach Troop actually told me way back in the day, and kind of just stuck with me. No matter what situation you are, your standard should trump that, circumstance that you're in and change the circumstances that you're in. So as long as you know your standard, any room that you walk into, you should walk away just fine.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of playing for your home team in a high school setting?
Yeah, what do you mean by my home team, sorry?
The importance of playing for your high school team. Can you talk about how that's special?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think, growing up in Fairhope, Alabama, it's the coolest, place in the world because everybody you meet, has your best interests, and the amount of support that I had throughout my career from I pretty much call everybody family back home, and the amount of support I had from my family members was really cool. Top five position? Oh gosh, I did not. I mean, obviously everybody's got their list. I'm not the guy to be on socials, making lists, but obviously there are a lot of good quarterbacks in the league.
Riley, what did you learn
It's a good question. I think, I said it after an interview, but whether you think you can or you can't do something, you're right. I actually took that from Henry Ford back in the day. But when you believe that you can do something, like, you're the only person that can stop yourself from doing it. And we believe that, we can make it to the national championship, and that's exactly what we did. I think having a strong mind and believing in yourself is probably the most powerful thing you can do in this world, besides turning your life to Christ.
What is your biggest motivator personally? Is there someone in your life? Is there something that you do personally that motivates you?
I think if you ever need to do something to motivate you, you're probably doing the wrong thing. So, waking up every day is, enough motivation for me. I'll be throwing tomorrow. I won't test, no. Hopefully I'll be able to do that at the pro day. Yeah, it's a good question. I think, after playing in the Senior Bowl, just had, a couple weeks for my body. I had 3 weeks to train, and, I got a lot of things that I wanted to work on in my game, obviously my strength and then, mechanically. So, in just 3 weeks, you're taking 2 of those to recover from the long season. So, if I'm going to go out there and showcase my abilities, I want to be, at my peak. So that's pretty much it. What's up, big dog? What's up?
What is one thing that you want teams to know that they share?
That's a really good question, my man. One thing I want to showcase is just my ability to extend the ball down the field. You probably don't see that as much on tape, but that's something I've really been working on. So a lot of people think, my arm might be a little bit weaker, but, all that matters is that I think I got a strong arm. So I'm ready to prove a lot of people wrong. Thanks, buddy.
Take us through the 3 guys.
That's a really good question. I think everybody has a mentality to win the national championship, but when you have a locker room where your best players, have the highest character, that's kind of what separates teams. I think our character in our locker room kind of stem from the top down, and I think the biggest compliment I can give to these guys is if you walk into our locker room, every single one of those people that you come into contact with, feel like family and make you a better person. So everybody, works hard. Everybody knows the X's and O's. But when you can impact people the way that Notre Dame impacted me, I think that's kind of what creates championships. Oh, yeah. I could go on and on about all 3 of those guys. And honestly, when I think about the Notre Dame quarterback room right now, I think about their football talents, after 10 minutes of thinking about each person. Our group was the closest group that, I've probably been around. And those guys really, changed my life in a lot of different ways. And I owe them the world, to be a transfer quarterback, to come in there, for them to accept me the way that they did, kind of means the world to me. But yeah, each guy's got a special trait to him. Steve, obviously, everybody loves Steve. He's an outstanding person, outstanding football player. I hope y'all don't twist these. Every single one of them can start. But Kenny, going into Kenny, freak athlete who knows a lot of ball. He's just a football guy, and then CJ as well as a football guy, huge competitor. So all those guys are gonna be, really rooting for each other because we're so close. So, somebody's going to have to, come out on top. But, at the end of the day, we're all just rooting for each other, best version of Notre Dame. The spiritual side, that's a really good question. That's a really good question because it's really hard to maintain the amount of humility whenever you're out here trying to showcase yourself. And my job is kind of to sell myself to all of these coaches and prove to them why they should pick me, which doesn't really come naturally for me because I'm a guy who kind of wants to, let my actions lead, not my words. But then I have to sit up here and talk about myself all the time. So obviously the verse that I wear on my wrist kind of helps me out a lot. Matthew 23:12, those who exalt themselves will be humbled. Those who humble themselves will be exalted. At the combine, you're having to exalt yourself a little bit. So at night, I have to just remind myself, like, humble yourself, kid. So that's probably the biggest learning experience for me, and I'm not sure if I have it quite yet, but I'm looking to grow.
Riley,
Thank you.
Sorry, Riley. All across the NFL, who are some receivers, like just in general, who you could love to throw to?
That's a good question. I mean, shoot, that's a hard question for me. I mean, every receiver in the NFL is there for a reason. So I don't know if I can answer that one. I love all receivers. If they're willing to catch a ball for me, I'll take it.
We'll take one more.
This is true. So my freshman summer when I got there was a COVID time, so really the only people on campus were football, basketball guys. So yeah, we used to have some late night runs in Cameron, and then they used to come over and throw the ball a little bit too. One thing a lot of people don't know about Paulo, he was a great quarterback. Like, I remember he was throwing the ball. I was like, dude, like, you can take my job, dude. So like, don't come over to the football team. But really good athletes, really good people, and yeah, we got some late night runs in.
Thanks, guys.
No, I couldn't guard him, but he absolutely could guard me. Yeah, to be honest with you. Thank y'all.